folks, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to talk to you about some piercing studio etiquette that unfortunately a lot of folks are not aware of or miss out on. Have you noticed on any of your recent trips to your piercing studio that there's been some signage, usually in the lobby and also in the bathroom, that says, hey, please don't touch your piercings in the studio. We're more than happy to help you change your jewelry or troubleshoot your piercings. Just come talk to us. Well, that signage is there for a very important health and safety reason, and that's to keep all of our clients, yourself and everyone else in the studio, as well as the staff who works in the studio, safe. However, a lot of folks don't really think about it that way or don't really notice it and end up touching their piercings or handling worn jewelry in the studio, and then can get a little upset when a staff member might ask you to use hand sanitizer or handle your jewelry or your piercings differently. So I wanted to explain a little bit today about why piercing studios have these policies, why they're important, and how we can follow them. So now you might be thinking to yourself, well, Lynn, it's my piercing. What do you mean I can't touch it in the piercing studio? I gotta show my piercer what's going on or explain what I want. And yes, it is your piercing, it is your body, it is your bacteria. You can do whatever you want with it in your own home. But in the piercing studio, we want to try and minimize the risk of cross-contamination. We really want to be conscious of the spread of viruses and bacteria around the studio. The last thing we want is a client to get an infection because we didn't keep our studio clean enough. And the big way folks are going to do that is by coming in contact with infectious bacteria. That means we do everything in our power to clean the studio and to clean the studio spaces so you never have to encounter any bacteria like that when you're getting pierced from us. Of course, this is why we sterilize our instruments before we pierce with them. This is why we use sterile jewelry and sterile needles. This is why we wear sterile gloves. This is why we wipe down all of our surfaces before and after your piercing service in order to keep you safe. But one of the big ways that unsuspecting bacteria can end up getting around the studio and onto your piercing is, unfortunately, from other clients. Someone may be very well-intentioned in asking a question about their brand new ear piercing at the front counter, but when they reach up and touch their fresh piercing, suddenly there's blood on their finger. And now when they touch the pin pad to complete their transaction, there's blood on that pin pad. When they touch the door handles, when they touch the seat that they're sitting on. Now you come into the studio and you touch those same objects, and then you touch your piercing just to adjust it or to tell us something. Now you have that other client's bacteria and bodily fluids on your piercing. That is not what we would like to have happen. Now a lot of folks think, well, I don't have a brand new piercing, there's no blood, so I can still touch my piercing. But the thing is, there's still bacteria present. So when you go to show me the bump under your nose ring or pull down your lip and point out what's going on, you're still getting bacteria from these piercings, and then you're transferring it to things that you touch in the studio. Countertops, tables, chairs, doorknobs, and if you're doing that, think about all the other clients during the day who are doing that as well. We don't want you to get all of their bacteria, and we also don't want your bacteria getting on any of them. So in the studio, policy is to try not to handle your piercings as best as possible. I know it happens that sometimes we accidentally touch without thinking about it. It's human nature. We're talking about something on our bodies. We want to kind of try and touch and explain, but try to be conscientious to avoid touching. And if you do, ask or get some hand sanitizer. That way you can keep your hands and the rest of the studio clean. And if you do accidentally touch, it's likely that a member on staff may catch it and be like, hey, please try not to touch your piercings in the studio. I've got some hand sanitizer for you here. Our piercer will be able to help you with that. And in those circumstances, please don't be rude to us. Please don't yell at people or get irate. We're just trying to keep you and everyone else safe. The appropriate way to respond to that is to just say, oh, thanks, I didn't know, and grab some hand sanitizer. Or, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to touch, and grab some hand sanitizer. No one's in trouble, and we're not mad at you, but we do want to keep you and everyone else safe, which is why we remind you when these things happen. And this doesn't just apply to your piercings themselves, it also applies to jewelry that's been in your body. So let's say you're coming in to have your nose ring swapped back to a stud from the hoop you've been wearing. Keep that old stud that you have in a little baggie and give it to us in that sealed container. That way we know it's safe. If you don't have a small bag or small container to keep it in, let us know that when you walk in, and I guarantee someone at front of house or one of the piercers will be right there with a small cup or a small bag to receive your jewelry in, or at the very least a gloved hand. But what we would like you to avoid doing is putting your previously worn jewelry directly on the counter, directly on the table, or directly on a chair, because that also spreads bacteria that's been on your jewelry. And again, you may be thinking, but Lynn, what if I haven't worn this jewelry in months, or what does it matter? Well, the thing is, we don't always know that, and we don't know everyone's situation. You might be putting down a nose ring that you wore for 5 minutes 5 years ago down on my counter, or you might be putting down a ring that came directly out of your genitals 5 minutes ago down on my counter. I have no way of knowing what's going on with that piece of jewelry, so to keep everyone safe and clean, wait for us to give you a little bag or a little cup to put your jewelry in. All of this is really just done to keep you safe and make sure that you have safe experiences in a high quality piercing studio. And I feel like once most folks understand and think about the fact that we are watching for that cross-contamination and trying to prevent it, it makes a lot of sense. But if you've never thought about this way, it is completely understandable that you would not know and you would touch your piercings or put your jewelry down. I've even done that myself as a client. So do not feel bad about doing this, but hopefully this video helps you learn a little bit of piercing studio etiquette, a little bit of understanding why we try not to do those things in the studio, and next time you'll go in, you will be extra prepared to hand off your jewelry in a little baggie or point to your piercings without touching, and your piercer in front of house staff will be very grateful and very impressed that you are taking the time to be clean, and I promise you, we notice it, we appreciate it, we love to see it. You are our favorite type of clients if you take our cleanliness seriously and you really do want to help us help you stay safe and clean when you're in the studio. So that's a little review of piercing studio etiquette. If you like this video and you want to see me review more like studio etiquette information, let me know down in the comments below, because I can think of a few good topics that we could cover under studio etiquette. As per usual, your support means the world to me, so if you like this video, if you like the content I put out, please hit like and subscribe. I enjoy sitting down and chatting with you today, and hopefully we hang out again soon. Bye!